Background. My mom and dad had me after a one-night stand. I was raised by my mom, never married, and I saw my dad for about 2 weekends per month. When I was 10, my father married and had my brother, A, but his wife passed away a few years later. Then he remarried my second stepmom, who had a son about A's age called B. A and B grew up together and are close. I liked B too, and he was always nice, but of course I was a lot closer to A, cause he was my actual brother. Now, I'm 28 and relatively successful. I was fortunate enough to not have student debt cause my mom paid for college. I comfortably earn 6 figures now. A few days ago, I was talking to my dad and his family via Zoom, and they told me both kids got accepted to college and were very excited to go. I was so proud of both of them and told them how happy I was and that I'd be sending them their gifts. I then talked to my dad one-on-one and asked him how the boys were planning on paying for it. He said that both would have to take loans and work to support themselves. After the call, I did the math and figured out I could pay for A's college myself, and it wouldn't affect my lifestyle or savings as much. I called A and told him that if he promised me he would do his best in school and stay out of trouble, I'd help him pay for school. He was so happy and couldn't stop thanking me. He has always been a good kid, and I know he deserves to have it. I then got a call from my dad and stepmom. While they said they were happy I was supporting A, it was unfair that he gets a free ride while B would have to struggle with loans. They went on to say how I was showing favoritism and such. I told them that while I did love B, A is my actual brother, and that of course I loved A more. I told them that I was willing to help B with a few tech spots or help him cover rent every now and then, but I wasn't comfortable spending tens of thousands of dollars on him. They're still insisting that I should be fair about it and treat them equally. I couldn't take it, so I ended the call. B called me after that and told me that while he understood, he felt sad about the whole thing and how it reminded him of his place as just a stepbrother. I told him that I did love him and was willing to help him out a little with tech spots or help him with living expenses every now and then, but that I could only afford to pay for A's education. He thanked me and seemed to feel better. The next day, I got a message from A telling me that his parents are now making him feel bad about the whole situation, from passive-aggressive remarks and guilt trips to full-on demanding him to split what he gets from me with B. I asked him if he wanted to stay with me for a while, and he's been here since. I've been getting angry messages from my stepmom and dad, and it's so bad I had to block them. I just wanted to do something nice for my brother, but it ended up being something that is causing so much drama. I don't think I'm the a-hole, but maybe I am. So, am I the a-hole? You're not the a-hole because it's your money, but you had to have known fully paying for one and not helping the other wasn't going to go over well with your parents and make B feel bad. At the very least, A being so happy about no student loan at home probably makes B feel sad, and this could also damage their relationship going forward. Yeah, do what you want with your money, but you really shouldn't be surprised people are upset. Not the a-hole. I think it is very nice of you that you want to help your brother. I understand that you wouldn't have the money to support both of them, and that your choice obviously is your brother in blood. Even suggesting to help your stepbrother out a little after already paying so much for your brother is very generous, and I don't understand your parents trying to ruin that by saying you favor the one and so on, and even putting pressure on your brother. You're a nice person, and don't deserve your parents treating you like that. Everyone sucks here. Yes, it's nice that you're helping A out, but it will forever hurt his relationship with his parents and stepbrother. I wish you had spoke first to your dad before doing this. Haha. When I originally went to college, my dad paid for my tuition, telling me to focus on my grades so I could get a good job after I graduated. During the time I was in college, he did not mention anything about paying him back, and I kind of figured I would end up just paying it forward with my own kids. After I graduated, I managed to get a decent job and save up a decent chunk of money. A few years later, my dad calls me up and tells me he needs to borrow $40,000. At first, I'm a bit uncomfortable with the idea, since that was nearly all the money I had managed to save up. But he kept on asking, and told me he would pay me back as soon as he could, and also brought up the fact that he had originally paid for my college tuition, so I kinda owed him. Since this was true, I felt pretty obligated to lend him the money, so I went ahead and wired it to him, with the expectation that he would eventually pay me back. A couple years go by, and I start wondering whether he's actually going to pay me back. I end up losing that job, company went under, and start struggling financially, so I give him a call to ask if he can start paying me back. He tells me that he can't pay me back, and that I shouldn't even be asking for the money back because of the fact that he had paid for my college originally. So, retroactively, the money he spent on my tuition turned out to be a loan, and the money I had loaned him years after was not actually a loan, but me paying him back. This came as a pretty big surprise to me, and I pretty much hung up and haven't spoken to him since. Not solely for this reason. We had a pretty strained relationship, but this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. This all happened a while ago, and I'm no longer struggling, but looking back, sometimes I do feel a bit guilty about it. He did, after all, pay for my college education originally. Was it unreasonable for me to expect him to pay back the money I loaned him later? Not the a-hole. He should have made it clear that A, he wanted you to pay him back for your college tuition eventually, and B, that the $40K he was asking for was not a loan, but you repaying him for college. If he had been upfront about it, that may have been another thing, but it seems like he was being intentionally tricky. I don't know what kind of financial troubles he's going through, but it's pretty brutal to take your child's entire savings under the false premise of paying them back, and then lash out at them for expecting it to be paid back. Sounds toxic. Not the a-hole. Wow, your dad is a piece of work. He pays for his child's tuition, then uses that years later to manipulate you into giving him money, then lies to you, and now won't help his struggling son. There was no agreement when he paid for your tuition. There was an agreement between you and him when you loaned him all of your savings. I'm sorry you have such a selfish gaslighter of a father. I hope he changes his mind, but you are not wrong for choosing to cut him out if he doesn't. Not the a-hole. Some parents have this concept of their children owing them because they took care of them for a lot of years. But in the end, they are the ones that decided to have children. It is your obligation to provide for them, and that includes education. Asking back for the money that he willingly gave you because you owe him is just cruel and basically emotional blackmail. We don't even have to mention the fact that he doesn't want to give you it back. He's an a-hole all the way. Me, 28 male, and my wife, Anna, 28 female, were expecting. She was almost 3 months. We were really excited. We bought everything a baby needed and talked a lot about our future with the baby. August 23rd, 2022. My wife woke me up in tears. She lost the baby. We had a really hard time accepting the fact, but Anna was much more affected. She would cry in our bed for at least 4 hours every day. She wouldn't eat, and she would say awful things about herself and her useless body. I had tried to console her to the best of my abilities, but I was grief-stricken myself and couldn't say the right words to her. It took 4 months of therapy for us to gradually start feeling better. Anna was smiling more. She was still a little on edge, but she was doing good. January 14th was Anna's birthday, and I wanted to make it really special for her. I invited our friends and family and cooked her favorite foods. I just wanted this day to be happy for her. For context, our families know about the situation and the effect it had on Anna, especially my brother and sister-in-law, as we had stayed in their house for a bit. While everyone was eating the food, my brother and sister-in-law got up and told everyone that sister-in-law was pregnant. After 4 seconds of silence, everyone in the room started congratulating them. I was stunned and turned to my wife having an emotionless expression until she smiled slowly and congratulated them and hugged them both. For a good 20 minutes, everyone couldn't stop talking about pregnancy, baby names, and new baby toys. They could have easily announced this at their 5-year anniversary party, which was just 2 weeks away. What was the point of announcing it on my wife's birthday? I noticed my wife get up and leave to go to our bedroom. I found her crying. She told me she doesn't want to go out now, that she doesn't want to face them. I understood, and quickly headed to the table, where everyone was done eating, talking as if they hadn't noticed we'd left. I didn't want to make a big scene, so I told everyone kindly that me and Anna had some plans for the evening, and that we would have to cut this party short. That was the only thing that came to mind at that moment. Sister-in-law comes walking towards me, and starts yelling at me saying that I'm doing this because of her announcement. I tried telling her as calmly as possible that it wasn't like that, and this was supposed to be Anna's birthday party, not some pregnancy announcement party. I said my goodbyes. Then 2 hours later, I get a message from my brother saying I was selfish and that I shouldn't be jealous just because we won't be as careless as the two of you. Careless, as in implying that we had somehow caused the miscarriage, even though we were incredibly careful. I'm beyond frustrated. Do you think I'm the a-hole because of how I handled the situation? Not the a-hole. Announcing your pregnancy at someone else's party is incredibly selfish. Doing it at the party of someone who has recently miscarried is beyond evil. And as for your brother's carelessness comment, I think that's a clear case of fighting words. You're beyond frustrated. That's it. I'd be enraged. Hell, I am enraged on your behalf, and I don't know you. I'm not sure why you're tiptoeing with these a-holes. Not the a-hole, and I'd be laying into them. On what planet was that appropriate? Even if you guys hadn't lost a pregnancy, it's rude to make someone else's party about you. Just like you don't announce an engagement at someone's wedding. And his later remark about being careful. What the actual duck? If one of my brothers pulled a stunt like that, they'd get an earful from me whether it was my party or not. The way sister-in-law got in your face screaming, and that comment your brother made at the end makes me think they announced the pregnancy at Anna's party on purpose, wanting to upset her. I have some ideas why they would do that, but none of it matters. Nothing can excuse this kind of behavior, especially if they had their own party 2 weeks later. Keep taking good care of Anna, and go no contact, and obviously, not the a-hole. My, female 25, partner, male 25, and I have been together for almost 3 years now, and we're getting married later on this year. My partner is a very big family man, most of whom I get on very well with. However, he has a cousin, female 18, that I can't stand. He also isn't keen on her. She's very self-centered and selfish. Everything has to be done her way, and she's no stranger to throwing a tantrum if she doesn't get what she wants. I should also mention, her father is my boss. A couple of weeks ago, my soon-to-be sister-in-law showed me the dress said cousin was planning on wearing. It was white, and was like a prom-style dress. It basically looks like a wedding dress. It has a corset and beads, etc. I was really unhappy with this. I just feel it's very rude to dress like a bride when you're not the bride. There's no need for her to be so dressed up. I spoke to my partner as I was unsure how to approach the situation. He suggested speaking to her dad, as we have a very good relationship. I decided this was the best course of action, and brought it up with him. He had a very uncomfortable look on his face, and he said he agreed he thought the dress was over the top, and they tried talking to her already. But she's adamant that's what she wants to wear. I said it wasn't acceptable, and if she's refusing to change her dress, then she's no longer invited to the wedding. Later on that evening, I get a phone call from soon-to-be mother-in-law saying that if cousin is uninvited, her parents aren't coming either, and apparently her mother is really angry. Mother-in-law suggested I just let her wear the dress to keep the peace, so that it doesn't cause a rift. I think her parents should just man up and tell her it's unacceptable. Her entire life she's been spoiled and allowed to do whatever she wants. But I'm not backing down on this. My partner agrees with me, and thinks it's unacceptable. Am I the a-hole for doubling down on this, or should I just let it go? Not the a-hole. Her parents spoiling her and refusing to stand up to her is not your problem. The dress is ridiculous and out of line. Even her parents agree with it. However, OP, you mentioned her father as your boss. Is this going to cause you issues at work? Not the a-hole. I'd be petty as hell and ask friends and family to also wear white. Got a wedding dress? Wear it. Never planned on a wedding but like wedding dresses? Get one. Takes all the sting out of the cousin's plan. Let her come. Recruit some people to whisper and laugh while near her, or ask her if she's going to prom after. She's doing it for attention, so give her what she wants. Enjoy your day. Honestly, a petty little girl isn't going to take away from the bride. She's just going to end up looking bad. Let me preface this by saying that I, male 30, lost my wife, female 33, to cancer a few months ago. She was too weak for chemo, and chose not to complete her treatment because of how hard and difficult it was for her. Everyone thought she was making a mistake, but I supported her decision, and it allowed us some time to spend together before she eventually passed away. My family know how I feel about it, and vice versa. That's why they rarely bring my wife up in their conversations, but they still disagreed with her decision to stop treatment. My brother's, male 34, wedding took place last week. First major event without my wife, and I hesitated a lot but decided to come and show support and share his joy with his bride and the family. We were having a good time, and I admit that I felt a lot lighter and enjoyed my time, till my brother decided to give a speech. He talked about the family being present, and how happy he was to have everyone he loves there, then suddenly brought my wife up. I shook my head, signaling for him to drop it, but he went on and said, "It's really sad that my wife's name isn't here with us today, but it was her choice not to be here with us today." I was floored, like completely dumbfounded and shocked. My mom looked at me, eyes wide open, and I instantly replied by loudly telling him that he was an idiot and that he should never have mentioned my wife or even said her name there and then. The family tried to calm me down, as my brother started arguing with me, saying that I was out of line for insulting him when he was just trying to make a tribute, or whatever, for my dead. He said, "Your dead wife." I argued back, then decided to leave. My parents tried to get me to stay and not further embarrass them, but I left eventually. They called later and were fuming, demanding that we talk about how I flew off the handle and made a scene, and called my brother names at his wedding for honoring my wife. Then said that my brother didn't lie, and my wife did choose this outcome. I refused to respond to them, but Mom has been pressuring me to visit and apologize to my brother for this misunderstanding if I want to keep having a respectable relationship with him. Soon as I read, "But she chose not to be here with us today," I couldn't believe my eyes. Oh my God. You flew off the handle for good reason. Who wouldn't? Why would he say that? Tribute? That's not a tribute. That's him throwing in his awful opinion in front of everyone, and hopes you wouldn't say anything, just because there's eyes everywhere. Not the a-hole whatsoever. Not the a-hole. If he was planning on mentioning your wife in any context, he should have discussed it in a sensitive manner with you beforehand, and said no more than you agreed to. He should never have blindsided you at an event, and should not have editorialized about her passing. Not the a-hole. There is no written or unwritten rule for dealing with grief of this magnitude. You reacted emotionally, and anyone who has ever lost someone close like that would completely understand. Don't beat your family up for not understanding. Pity them for their ignorance, and be happy for their ignorance of the pain as well. The day they actually understand your reaction is the day they will wish they did not understand it. Ha.